Hello, boys and girls. So hopefully you have had a little bit of chance to practice some fractions. And today we're going to dig a little bit deeper into those fractions. And so we are going to create the fractions and we're going to write the fractions kind of from scratch. And so for today's lesson, what you are going to need is just a blank piece of paper. It can be notebook paper or computer paper. It can be a journal, whatever you want to do, but I need a blank piece of paper and a pencil or a pen or a marker or again, whatever you want to do. So there's two items. And when I say go, you can push pause and go get them and then come back and push play and go. Okay, now we are going to get started. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the items and the things that you're going to draw and then do. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through a couple of things and then I'm going to say you're going to be independent. So we're going to have a total of 6 things that you're going to draw on this paper. You can do front and back if you run out of space, so don't panic about space. If at any point you run out of space on your paper and you run out of front and you run out of the back, then just push pause and go get another piece of paper and come back. So don't panic about that. Remember, this video you can push pause. If I get too fast, push stop and catch up and then come back to it, okay? Remember, this video is here. It's not a one-time thing. Come back to it if you need to, okay? So what I have here is my handy dandy little board. And we're going to talk about fractions. Remember, a fraction means a piece of something. We're taking just, not the whole thing, just a fraction of it, just a piece of it, just a part of it. And so when we do fractions, remember what we're thinking about is this is telling us we're cutting it. Whether we're cutting it in halves, fourths, thirds, eighths, sixths. Notice how we're putting the th in there. That tells us we are cutting it. Okay, we're dividing it, we're separating it. Those are all words to describe fractions. In the top, the numerator, we are putting what part we're talking about. In the denominator, in the bottom, we are putting, well, how many parts are there in the whole thing? What makes the part? What makes the cake? What makes the pie? What makes the cow from the book? What makes it whole? How many parts make it whole? So we're thinking about part and whole, okay? So your first task right now is you are going to draw a rectangle. Draw a rectangle on your piece of paper. This is number 1. You are going to draw a rectangle. My rectangle is going to look like this. Okay? It is not perfect. I'm no artist. That's no surprise now, right? Draw a rectangle. And you are going to split it into thirds. Thirds. Now, here's the trick with thirds, because halves are easy. We can find about halfway and draw a line. Fourths, we can kind of do those, but thirds are tricky. So what I do with thirds is I come over about here and I make a dot. I don't draw my line yet, because once you draw the line, it's kind of final. And then about halfway between the dot and the end, I do another dot. I'm going to say that again. So then my first dot, I just kind of estimated and I just came over a little bit. But my next dot, what I did was I saw, well, here's my first dot and here's the end. And then I picked my middle point from there. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and separate down like that. Okay. So now I already know I can fill in one of these. Which one can I do? My numerator or my denominator? The down number or the north number? I can do my down number. I can do that. How many make up the whole thing? 1, 2, 3. 3 parts. That part's easy. Okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to shade just 2 of these. The way that I shade it, you can color it. I shade it just to make it go fast, is I just draw lines. Okay? And there are 2 of them. So now how many parts did I color? I colored 2 parts. So now what my fraction says is 2 out of 3. And another way to read that is 2 thirds. 2 thirds. Okay? Now as a bonus, over here next to the side, I want you to draw another fraction bar. I want you to tell me what fraction is not shaded. What is not shaded? These 2 are shaded. What part out of The whole is not shaded. So right now, I know my part that's not shaded is just one part. And then the whole thing, how many are in the whole? There's still 3. So I know the part that's not shaded is 1/3. 1/3 of my shape. 1 out of 3 is not shaded, 1/3. Okay? Does that make sense? So this is how our problem is going to look. Okay? Now the only difference is that number 2 is the shape is going to be a little different. So underneath that, put a number 2. Okay? Draw a triangle. Draw a triangle. The way that I'm going to do my triangle is I'm going to do a really wide A and just connect them at the bottom. Now on this, it says to divide them into 2 equal parts. And let me give you a hint. If I divided it this way, would that be an equal part? No. There's only one way that it would be equal if I divided it. I'm going to give you a hint. It's going to start here and go down. That was not a hint. That was the answer. You're welcome. It's your little gift to me. Your Thursday. It's today Thursday. Your Thursday present. You're welcome. Okay. No, ma'am. Now, on this, now shade one part. I don't care which part. Shade one part. Okay. Now, I made a fraction. I shaded just part of a whole, which tells me I must use a fraction bar. So let's make a fraction of what is shaded. Let's go ahead and put my part over the whole. Now, how many, let's start with the whole. How many make up the whole thing? How many pieces make up the whole thing? There are 2. But how many parts did I color? Just 1. And so that answer is 1/2. Now on this one, from 3 through 6, you're going to fly solo. Okay? So are you ready? Number 3. Remember, push pause if you ever need to, or rewind if you need to. Make a square on your page. Make a square. In that square, you are going to divide it into fourths. Fourths. Think about how you would take a square and turn it into fourths. Okay? There are 3 ways I can think of. And I bet between all 18 of you, there are going to be all 3 ways, because there's no right way, no wrong way. As long as they're equal parts, I do not care. You're going to divide it into fourths. Okay? Again, if I'm going too fast, just push pause and push play whenever you're ready. Now, shade 3 of those parts. Shade 3 of your 4 parts. And now make a fraction for how many parts are shaded. Your fraction, how many parts are shaded over the whole parts you have. Parts over the whole. Okay? Parts over the whole. That was number 3. And number 4, you ready for number 4? You are going to take, you know what? I'm going to make this easier on you. We're just going to do 2 more. We're going to make a rectangle. Make a rectangle. And in that rectangle, split that into fourths. Fourths. So you just made a square into fourths, but this time do a rectangle into fourths. And again, there are several ways you can do this. You choose a way to split your rectangle into 4 equal parts. And you are going to color 1 of them. Color 1 of those parts. Now, here's the tricky part. Are you listening? Your fraction is going to be what part is not colored. What part is not shaded? So you took your rectangle and you divided it into 4s. You colored one of them. How many are not colored? And don't just tell me there are some that are not colored. You are telling me the fraction that is not colored, which means I need the fraction bar, and you have to have a number up at the top and a number on the bottom. The number on the top tells me how many are not colored. The number on the bottom tells me how many there were in the whole thing, how many make the whole thing, and then how many parts are special. Okay? Push pause if you haven't gotten it yet. If you have gotten it, let's keep on going. Okay, let's do a square. I'm debating. I might still give you an extra one. Let's do a square. Draw a square. And you're going to divide this square into thirds. Into thirds. Third means 3. So divide your square into thirds. Okay. Color or shade 2 of those parts. Okay. What fraction is shaded? What fraction is shaded? You colored 2 parts. What fraction is shaded? Okay. Okay. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to help you divide this one though, because it's kind of tricky. But I love doing circles and fractions with circles. So this last one, I lied. We are going to do number 6. This one's going to be a circle. So draw a circle. And you're going to divide the circle into thirds. Okay? And a circle into thirds to make 3 equal parts. There is only one way to do that. Okay? Let me show you how to do it. You're going to start at the top and you're going to come down to the very middle. Okay? And then you're going to take it and you're going to come out this way. Kind of like you're at maybe like 8 o'clock. Because if this was 6 o'clock, this is 7 o'clock, this is 8 o'clock, and this is 9 o'clock on a clock, you're going to be at 8 o'clock. And then the same thing over here, you're going to come to like 4 o'clock. Like that. Okay? And that is how you do a circle with thirds. Thirds. Okay? Now, on your thirds, you are going to shade 2 thirds. You are going to shade 2 thirds. Shade 2 thirds. And then, because I kind of just gave you the answer, shade 2 thirds, and then write that fraction, 2 thirds. So shade 2 thirds and write 2 thirds. Okay? And then I'm going to check these and see how well did we do on this little guy, and see are we on the right track, or do we need to talk a lot more about fractions? Because tomorrow you're going to do a quiz on Khan Academy, and that's going to help me determine, do we need to work a little bit more? You're going to see a little video describing it from a different person. So you're going to be able to see a lot about fractions. But this is here to help me know, okay, good, they totally have it. Or you know what, we're going to do a lot more about fractions. If we were in class, we have a lot of little things that we could be doing, a lot of little things we can be playing with. Unfortunately, we're here at home and we're doing the best that we can with it. So do the best that you can with this, and then have your parents at the end of the week send this to me so I know how well we're doing, okay? So let us know if you need extra Zoom tutorials to talk about fractions, or if we need extra lessons to talk about fractions, because we will. I love doing fractions, and you're going to see fractions from now until the end of eternity. So keep on tracking with this and let me know how you think, and let me know how you're doing. All right, y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.